and speaking of that, some of the other news is that Oracle also announced I guess they're calling it their next generation ARM-based cloud compute. And what the connection here is Oracle was the super dominant player, also got caught sort of unawares of the whole cloud thing. They have now their cloud product, which is running a very distant fourth, and are trying to compete, can't really catch up, but are doing some smart things like this. And they do a lot of these sort of things where they're finding their niche. But the reality is that while they arguably still have a monopoly of sorts in the enterprise database space, they were not infallible. They were not impenetrable. And so this announcement I think is interesting. I'm curious your take on it. I mean, my just off the cuff take on this particular announcement is that what they have seemed to be focusing on and doing a very good job at is really targeting these pragmatic little holes and filling them and saying, this is, we can go do this and we do it really well. And we can do it very cost competitively. And it makes sense for you. You don't have to move all of your workloads to us, but these are the workloads that make a lot of sense to put on our infrastructure.
Yes, the Oracle Ampere A2 launch that they had is basically their cloud compute offering that is focused on scalability and real-time workloads. So those are good targets. Those are things that are hard to support at scale and to do it cheaply. That we see hiccups all the time on people who are messing up real-time video and streaming. And obviously streaming video is an extremely important use case at this point for media companies and honestly even everybody else who just wants to keep customers in touch with what they do. When Apple does their conference or when Dreamforce, Salesforce does their conferences, they want real-time video to be able to show key sessions and keynotes. So all of that.
Or when Hyoun wants to watch the Olympics.
Yes, exactly. If you want to watch the Olympics, they were pushing 60, 70, 80 different live streams at massive scale at one time to make that work. And that is not a cheap thing to do. I think it's smart for Oracle to tackle that. And then, of course, for them, it is always about being able to collect that data at the end of the day to use it for something else. Nobody knows the value of data better than Oracle.
Yeah, no, I think I'm often going back to where we started this. I'm often pretty down on Oracle, but they routinely do very smart things to remain relevant and to stay in touch with what they've got. They have a very captive base, and they they could do. We've seen others that sit there and just treat it as cash cow and try to write it out. And Oracle's clearly not doing that, at least not in its totality, right? They are actively innovating and trying to find ways to be competitive, and and they deserve credit for that. And I think it speaks going all. I'm sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I feel like a lot of what Oracle has done in the cloud in the past has been very legacy based. So they would host an application and then call it a cloud application. And all of that felt very last generation and really just kind of a me too keeping up with the market type of activity. But this actually feels like tackling price performance more proactively. And I applaud them for that because that's not always the approach that Oracle has taken. They got a little, I would say, lazy in terms of innovating for some time. And it feels like the last few years has really something at Oracle changed. I can't say what it is, but I can say that the Oracle Cloud offering has finally found a niche. Will it get up to the top three? I don't know, but they seem to have at least some specific capabilities that are going to be useful on an ongoing basis.
Yeah. Well, and it goes back to, and I also don't know. I mean, obviously Larry Ellison is still there at the helm, or at least on paper, and it would, so normally when you see this kind of happen, it's like with Microsoft, right? It was the CEO shift that precipitated all that. And we haven't seen that at Oracle. So it does sort of leave you scratching your head as far as like, well, what is happening beneath the covers that is leading to it.